Good evening. Actually, tell a lie. Do you know at bath time? We could tell them good morning. We're actually this is a very, very late one or a very, very early one, depending on what time you're watching it. But look, it's me and bath time. Hopefully we should have somebody else jumping on. Should supposed to have two other people jumping on, but it's a late one, but we wanted it to be a late one because maybe there's gonna be a lot of swearing. Guys, let's get the show on the road. Here we go.
Oh, a late third man run.
Yeah. Yeah, he's done. Look, on Monday to talk about third man run. None of the team did a third man run, but guys, look, we're here. It's late. It's the Newcastle 1, Man United 0 post mortem. I suppose let's start by saying hi to the guys in the chat, please.
Yes. Yeah, I'll do it. Cool. So we've got Solo here saying these players that fans get so excited about season in, season out, same players who always let the manager down. We've got Tyrone Williams saying good evening, people. We've got Big T in the house. We'll read your comments like after we've done the initial stuff. We'll just say hello for now. So 12 a.m. stream from BN Vlogs. Jeff Vesco, what's up? It's Rajiji, up well past his bedtime. And he's excited about Christmas. And we've got Vincent Bullock, who's blaming the defeat on you here. First of all, what the hell? Why the slight? But the second I feel United lost because Mr. B never done the watch along. And then we got Matthew Bassett coming in and, oh, God, got Anthony Herbert. Big up, guys. I got to say, Anana kept you in the game despite losing 1-0. And all Box has just come in, say, Ten Hag out. Right, said Fred in.
Okay. Bath time.
Yeah.
Team selection. Were we happy with the team that was selected?
Yeah, I was okay. I was okay with it. I'm never all right when Wan-Bissaka and Rashford are in the team, to be honest. But wasn't too disappointed to see Luke Shaw at centre back.
Called it yesterday.
Yeah, the back line that he played was the one I thought that he would go with. But I sort of like I want to see Martial on the left wing and Højlund up front. But I think that team we put out was good enough to compete.
On Monday.
Yeah, the big talking point was obviously let Luke Shaw going into centre back. How does he feel about it? How do you think Luke Shaw feels about playing there? Well, I don't know what he really thinks. I'd love to hear the real truth, whether he likes that position. Because I think as a left back, you're expected to sort of get up and down the pitch. As a centre back, you can sit there and stroll and dictate the play a lot more. So I do probably less running, I imagine. I'm just curious whether he likes the role and whether he feels more pressure playing in that role. I don't know. But yeah, obviously he played there for tactical reasons, for a left-footed centre-back. That's what the manager seems to love. And then you got Dalot and Wan-Bissaka. And I must confess, I've been out. I've just come in from an evening out. But they did have the game on in the screen, and I didn't really get to watch it all. I've just watched a 3-minute clip. Just watched a 3-minute clip that they show on YouTube. And I didn't see, and I would listen to it on the radio on my way out as well. It just seems like we were getting overrun. And seems like we hardly created any chances as well. But sometimes it's a good thing. It shows that to only concede one goal after getting a beating like that, that suggests that maybe we must be doing something right, you know. But yeah, so going through the side as well. Obviously, Mainu played in midfield with McTominay, as we predicted on the show yesterday. And obviously, Martial. That was a bit of a shock for me that Martial started instead of the youngster Ramos.
What did you think, Mr. B? Were you happy with that lineup when you saw it?
Like you're not happy with Wan-Bissaka and Rashford playing, I'm not happy with McTominay starting in central midfield. So I wasn't. But McTominay's with his goals, not to say his performance, with his goals, has probably earned the right to start over a lot of other people who have been starting in the team. We created, I'm not even going to go by stats. I'm not even going to get the stats up or anything like that. We played today like we didn't give a shit. That's the whole team. That's the whole team.
I think Maguire played like...
No, that's, you know what? So, you know what? I'm going to hold up my hands. I apologise. Maguire and Shaw were by far the best two players on the pitch. By a mile. By a mile. Mainu did nothing wrong today. He did his job. I don't think he wasted a pass, to be fair. But if you look at Rashford, who I have backed from day dot, I don't want to say that it's time for him to go, but Jesus Christ, he plays like he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. There's no way a player cares about anything. This is any player at any level. Any level. I'm talking amateur level, I'm talking grassroots football level. We even talk about your friend's team at the park could put in the lack of effort. The lack of effort that he put in. What is he screwing because Garnacho is taking his place on the left? Well, Marcus, you've done nothing on the left for the whole season. What do you expect? Because you're on 375 grand that you can't get dropped. You can't get dropped. If Ten Hag wants to keep his job, he needs to start dropping some of these players.
Do you agree with me now that it's better to have Anthony on the pitch than Rashford if he wants to keep his job?
Yeah, because Rashford doesn't care as much as Anthony has a lack of
ability.
Yeah, I'm not sure if ability. Yeah, you know what? We'll say it. A lack of ability. He cares. He cares for Ten Hag, so he's going to try his best. Yeah, you've got players out here who have thrown managers 1, 2, 3, 4 under the bus, and they're still here. They're still here. I have never been so. Big up Bobby for being a neutral. I've got a shout out to Bobby for doing a watch along for us today. It gave me something to cuss on. I really, really appreciate that. Guys, let me know what you thought about somebody put in Mr. B's gone white in the comments.
Noir or blanc.
Would you like to hear from the comments?
Yes, please. And I want to hear from you, Bath Time.
Well, I've got a theory, but I'll say after the comments, and Monday can tell me if this is in his top 5 conspiracy theories. Ten Hag looked and sounded defeated in the post-match interview.
Somebody tell me what he said.
Yeah, if you could give us his comments, that would be good, because I just turned the TV off in disgust, as I imagine a lot of you have, and then went and cried in my bath. Big T, Tyrone Williams is responding to Big T. The players have done what they always do and have let the manager and fans down. Ten Hag has not helped himself, though. His decisions are costing him. And then Jeff is saying he knows these jokers going to get him fired. I hope he gets a good middle-tier team in Italy. Bruno did 3 or 4, and so did Martial, and we passed backwards. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what that was about. Here's Matthew Bassett. Same shit, different opposition. Box is Ten Hag out. Vincent is going on about what you're wearing. It looks like you're wearing a West Ham shirt. I assume that's your local club.
Yeah, this is my Saturday team. So I don't care what it looks like. I'm not wearing another Man United shot on the stream, and I've just spent money on a bloody away United top. They've pissed me off, man.
Who have you got on the back?
I've got nobody on the back. I don't get. The only person I've ever got on the back of the shirt is Brian Robson. That's the only name I've ever got on the back of a shirt. So, look, it is what it is.
Box is fed up with Ten Hag, but Vincent is very impressed with OMONDI, saying you're looking sharp tonight. You look like the Reverend Fred, but not even a confession for this team could save it at the moment. And Jeff is saying OMONDI's just in from the club. Where have you been, OMONDI?
So my brother-in-law is Maestro, the rapper, one of the best rappers in the UK, and they were doing a performance today in High Wycombe. Tone's coffee shop is called. So I drove up there and met up with a few boys, you know, and it was like there's some real legends of UK hip hop down there tonight performing and scratching and doing their thing, and a lot of crowd participation as well. And I had to go and represent, and I was wearing my African attire, as you can see here. And yeah, it was a good night. And I finished at 11, so I just drove home to get in touch with you guys. And unfortunately, I missed the game, but yeah, one of them things. But yeah, interesting to hear what you
Legends
guys.
of British hip hop. Was Richard Blackwood there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Get with the wicked.
Presenter.
Yeah, no, he did that rap. That was terrible years ago.
Okay. Go and check out My Stiggy, man. My Stiggy. It's my brother-in-law. He's married to my sister. My Stiggy. Kevin, Maestro, My Stiggy. Go and check him out on Spotify and help out these UK rappers.
Yeah, it's normally how you get a brother-in-law. Is it the coaching? Tell me the plan that you see tonight. Here's Tyrone saying, after Ten Hag's promising first season, it was imperative for the recruitment to be right this summer, and it's been poor. As for Rashford, he always stops caring once he gets his new contract. And Jeff is saying that Heath post-match interview, he knows he's a dead man walking. And we've got Uncle Dubious in. So good evening.
Long time.
And he's just saying that. And then Box is saying the game was depressing, reminding me of the third round cup tie, and we were a non-league team. Right, boys, I've got a theory. Tonight, what we saw was essentially what I call a Ragnick performance. Disjointed over the pitch, like a lack of effort, players who didn't look like they cared. And a long time ago, a series of quotes came out from Manchester United. It was, no one ever found out who it was, but one of the players was absolutely livid that another one was getting picked and referred to him as a teacher's pet. The general consensus was it was Rashford talking about Alanga, who was seeing a lot of games at the time. With Alejandro Garnacho pretty much nailing down the left wing and Rashford's attitude today, is this the end of Rashford? Like no manager could surely pick him again after the performance he turned out today, Mr. B.
Do you know at bath time? Yeah. I'll say it. I'm done. I'm done with Marcus. I just lack of ability. I accept. We had Fred in the team who we moaned and I did.
Yeah,
cussed and moaned about. But you know what? He gave a shit. I just want the players to care. I want the players to care. Not even about the manager that they're playing for, but the club, because the manager could be gone next week. The club's still going to be here, and we as supporters are still going to be here. We had man who went all the way up to Newcastle and sat watching that game in stands higher than Mount Everest. Yeah. And that's what they got treated to. Come on, man. You can't. I don't hear no excuses for no player on that football pitch because they weren't good enough. If you've got your two centre-backs being your best player on the pitch, there's issues. Both of them. It wasn't one.
Yeah.
It was both of them. Were great today. You know, I don't sit here happily and say Maguire's been great because I hate him. But Maguire was very, 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 very good today. And sure, if he was behind him, wasn't too far. Who else can you say did anything in the game?
No one. Absolutely no one. I mean, they played within themselves, but I also have some issues with Shaw and Maguire today because on Monday we weren't able to get out of the press, and like Anana was playing like a donkey or a horse or like he was in a can. He was just booting it. Like we couldn't. There's a scene in Lord of the Rings where they keep saying we can't get out, and that was all I was thinking about in the first and second half, is we were completely unable to play around the block, over the block, through the block, like, and they were really targeting like Wan-Bissaka and Dalot, and with Dalot being right-footed, playing on the left, like there was a couple of times he was turning the ball first time into the middle of the pitch without without like scanning who was there. It was a
There were
disaster.
3 times in the first half, I think he did that, and they just picked the ball up and started their attacks again.
And I also see one where Delo almost handballed it when they try and sort of lack of communication between him and
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I was watching the match on Monday, I mean, we all sort of remember when Maguire and Evans came on against Arsenal, and the entire like Emirates or Etihad or whatever it's called were all booing and jeering Maguire's every touch, and it happened at Scotland. It's now happening to Onana, and I mean, what has to happen? Omondi, you're the most positive person here. It's almost toxic positivity. But how can this team resemble a team? Like, what need is it? What do we need to do?
Okay. Reality check, guys. Just to remind you, we're playing Newcastle. They got top 4 last season. They're playing in the Champions League. They are buzzing. We're playing them at St. James's Park as well. And we only conceded 1 goal. We lost 1-0, but we were battered. We didn't really show ourselves. We didn't show up today, as it appears. Mind you, I haven't seen all the game, just seen a few highlights and that kind of thing. Just going back to the Rashford point as well. What you desire, you can't afford to have luxury players. And it sounds to me like when you look at Anthony Gordon, who's playing in the same position as him for Newcastle, you're seeing fight, desire, running power, determination, all the characteristics that you're supposed to have as a Premiership footballer. As I was saying the other day with Michael Owen in his interview with Simon Jordan, he was talking about old prayer players that he used to play with and felt they were more complete because they had all these attributes. You're supposed to go out there, have that desire anyway, you know. Now he's saying players are just athletes. And that reminds me of Rashford. He's a very good athlete. He should try to get into the Olympic team, you know, for athletic or something, because that's all he's got seems to have is pace and a bad attitude. And the bad attitude's been brewing for a long time now. I've heard a comment there from Tyrone talking about he's never been a good player. When you look at it, he gets on the end of things. It's a typical thing with Rashford, how he scores his goals. Takes too many shots all the time. He runs into traffic. You talk about a ceiling for him. The ceiling comes from having the pace at a young age. I was rapid as a kid, and that's when I was getting scouted into like clubs, pro clubs and that kind of thing, and because I was rapid. But as soon as everyone caught up with me and I never developed on my ability, couldn't control the ball, couldn't juggle the ball, couldn't do anything. I just used to kick the ball and run past people because I was bigger and stronger than most kids at that age. And then it got to the point it was like, oh my God, what happened to you? I remember one time the district manager who I used to play with, we were doing a 100-meter sprint and he saw me. I was just lethal. I was killing people. Michael Dubry, I remember I skinned him for goals against Enfield.
Chelsea centre back.
Yeah, of course. I skinned him. I had to murder him. For goals. We were Ealing playing against Enfield Borough. But we came to 100 metres in the track and field thing, and I come about last. And I was shocked. He looked at me, he said, what happened to you? And I remember that to this day because I
remember that.
And because all these kids got bigger and stronger, and I never developed my attributes, my other attributes I should have. It's only now that I can control the ball and pass and that kind of thing. Rashford's the same thing. He's got pace, but he expects too much. And he's walking around, his body language is poor, and he should be looking at Anthony Gordon and saying, blows and skirts, this guy's going to even take my place in the England for Euros, which should be announced today. You know, he should be ashamed of himself because at the moment he's getting picked. What he needs is a rude awakening for him not to get picked for Man United, go through could he handle the Harry Maguire treatment, you know, with all the pelts and all that? I don't know if he could. And dyeing your hair yellow and doing all this foolishness and blaming someone, you know, personal things about people in your family passing away. Unfortunately, these things happen. This is life. But what we want from you is to go out there and give it the Anthony Gordon kind of attitude, give it a Newcastle player attitude. Because a lot of them players, if you're forming a team with all these massive money, they're doing it the right way. Because they're buying players with the right attitude. They've got an English manager who wants players with the right attitude. They're coming in there and they're working their asses off. And I thought they'd be knackered after the performance they put in a midweek and really worked hard for it. We gave a whack performance against Galatasaray, let ourselves down. Thought, okay, they'd be knackered. They were playing PSG. They were, you know, worked really hard and we'd be able to take them today. But they still showed up in front of their fans and gave 100%. And we hardly had anything to show for it. And Rashford's one of them guys who I'm starting to think, man, you're 26. You're supposed to be coming into your prime. Your stock's going down. I think it's time that you have to really consider getting rid of this guy and bring someone else in who's young and hungry. The same thing applies with Casemiro. Obviously, the age thing, he helped us last season. But I think guys, before we start cursing the manager, we have to look long term. And I'm being positive here. When we see players like Mainu coming in, and we see the young O'Shea, you mentioned the left-footed guy the other day in the youths as well, didn't you, in bath time?
Yeah.
There's a lot of young talent coming through. This is what the project is really about. Be patient, guys, because these players will start coming through, and these players will have the right attitude, and because it will be grilled into them. You know, it's
same way it was for Rashford.
Well, as it was Rashford until he lost it. So there's got to be a bit different method about how we get these players. And this is where the Ajax method comes in, because the manager's used to that. He knows about bringing players in and probably selling them when they get to about 24, 25, if they don't have the right attitude. But I think it's time for Rashford to go. Tonight, it seems that every one of you is really upset with him. And we've been seeing this for a long time. And there's no more forgiveness, and falling back on 30 goals last season, because it's too inconsistent. He didn't score many goals after he won the cup final last year.
All right. Well, would you like to hear from the comments, Mr. B?
I'd love to.
Yes, please.
All right. Well, Uncle Dubious starts off by saying he hopes Martial leaves in January. And I don't know if you saw it, OMONDI, but Martial and Ten Hag had quite a public spat where Ten Hag shouted at Martial for not tracking Fabian Schär, and Martial tried to pass the blame off to Rashford, who was just walking about like having a little dream when it happened. And Tyrone Williams, this season has been disgraceful, but if I see Marcus Rashford sold, I will be happier. He is one of the most overrated Manchester United players I've ever seen.
Great point.
I agree with Tyrone. It's very difficult for me to dislike a youth product, but Rashford has always annoyed me. Delot needed replacing at half-time. Newcastle have about 13 men unavailable today, and they battered us. The reason Maguire is good is that we were forced to defend all day, and Newcastle couldn't finish their dinner. We lost to an atrocious performance. And then the Onana starts. Andre Onana is no better than De Gea. The only difference is that De Gea was a world-class shot stopper. And Box saying, shout out to Reguilon. He got some good shots on target today. And then follows it up with, that was one of the most humbling, sobering defeats I've seen as a Manchester United fan. King T'Challa's here. All hail the king. Evening, boys. We'll be very interested to hear your thoughts on tonight's game. Amonde is spitting right now.
Not bars. Not bars like the guys at the club tonight.
What are you spitting?
Fury.
Okay, good. Marcus Rashford is still playing like the young lad who came into Van Gaal's team. 26 years old and zero development. Embarrassing. Get him sold ASAP. And then probably going to move on to the front line next. Martial let us down today. Insipid performance sums up his career. He doesn't want it. Doesn't have the killer instinct to go to the next level. And then it's Anthony with Mr. B. Why have you got a West Ham top on? Explain, lol. So for the second time.
Again, this is my Saturday club football team. I'm not wearing a Man United top until the new year. New year, new beginnings, new Man United top. I did want to preview it pretty soon, but you know what? I can't. So this is what I'm going to be rocking from now on until we sort our team out. I'm not going to say till we sell Rashford, because I may never wear a Man United top again. But yeah, the forward line. I mean, Garnacho. I don't blame Garnacho.
He wasn't great though, was he? His defense was poor.
Yeah, was it you talking about defending like they care? Was it you? I was on a WhatsApp with somebody who had lost their mind. Maybe it was a New Bath Town.
No, it wasn't.
Basically, the guy said to me, obviously he's a Chelsea supporter. He said our players defend like they didn't want to defend. They were defending like it was an obligation for them to run back, but they never had any intention of getting the ball back from the players ahead of them. I just think they do a lot of stuff for show. You know, I'll do
performative.
Yes, yeah. I'm so confused as to how a whole team can play like that. You know, I think the balance is wrong. I will keep saying it. I will keep saying it. You can't play Scott McTominay to start a game. You can't. On Monday, you will chups me a little. I have no problem. I have no problem with that. As a midfielder, don't play him as a midfielder. Play him as a striker then, if that's the case. But if you're playing four at the back, I'll just use that four at the back, and you've got one of your defenders, your centre back, who decides that he's going to play wherever he wants on the pitch. You're out of shape. You've got no balance. So we're now playing with a three-man central midfield. We've got Mainu. We've got Bruno, who Bruno was pathetic today. But you've got Bruno, who we know likes to float. And then you've got McTominay, who runs down. I understand his role. At BATHTIME, I get his role. So I'm not dissing McTominay. But we have no control of central midfield when we play Scott McTominay. It's now got to the stage where they were running through so much times. There was a gap that you came when, again, BATHTIME. There was one of your slides, you had a big fuck off gap in the middle of the pitch. And all they did was target the gap. And Ten Hag had them still playing like a bunch of dicks. I don't know if they don't understand him. I still believe in Ten Hag. I'd rather he sold every single one of those players than Ten Hag. Look,
Mr. B, right? It doesn't matter who's been in our midfield this season. It's been the same issue. It's like there's. I think one of the problems we have is that we can't invert a player from a wide area inside. So a fullback going in and just sitting next to Kobe, for example, would be ideal. But the other issue we have is that I think today Bruno was meant to be playing in a double pivot. He was far deeper than we normally saw him. And there was a period of about maybe 5 or 10 minutes where we played. We got Garnacho in a couple of times against Trippier.
Yes, yeah.
Like we played really nicely, only for 5 minutes, but it really looked like the plan was working, and I was really hopeful. I thought Garnacho was going to score like after 5 minutes, but that was with Bruno playing in the correct position. As the game went on, Bruno was not only trying to do toe pokes around the corner when he was under pressure, which is something I absolutely hate, but he kept drifting. So I think that one of the problems is that Ten Hag doesn't have the authority over the players to get them to just play where they need to be. Like Rashford does what he wants. Garnacho, I mean, I think you're right about talking about defending like it's an obligation. When you defend, like you're actually looking to score a goal. Like when you defend from the front, because otherwise you just put 10 people on the goal line and try and make a meat shield. But when you look at Liverpool, when you look at Newcastle, when you look at Arsenal, when you look at Manchester City, they're defending with their lives because they know that if they get it right or the other team makes a mistake, they'll score a goal. And we don't have anything near that. The only one who does it properly is Anthony. The second Anthony came on, we saw Delot being able to get forward a bit more to pick up Gordon or whoever it was that was at the left wing. But it's just the front three were absolutely dreadful at defending. And I'll give Garnacho a pass because he's young. But Martial and Rashford, who look like they're great friends, they played like they hated each other and that they wanted the other one fired today. And OMONDI, I don't know, but obviously, have you heard about the plane and the weather and things like that?
Yeah. Apparently, there's food poisoning or something, and then there's a plane issue. They had to drive 3 hours up there beforehand.
If they use it as an excuse, I
swear
it's true.
Down. It's a truth.
No, I understand it's true, but yeah. I don't want to hear that. I don't want somebody to tell me because they had to sit in a car, not a car. A luxury. It's going to be a luxury coach on Monday, where they can stretch their foot out and go to sleep. They're not going on one of those Heathrow ones, the CCH ones with the seats, and you have to sit like this, and there's 20 man like sardines. That's not how they've gone up there. They've gone up there in luxury. So I don't want to hear nothing about that. I don't know what they're on there for 3 hours. So fucking what? So
well,
what?
they'll say they weren't prepared correctly, is what the excuse
good
will be.
grief.
Once Barcelona, I think there was a volcano in Iceland that blew up or something. You couldn't fly. I think Barcelona had to take an 18-hour coach to Milan for a game. And I think that's a valid excuse. But 3 hours, like, I don't know what to say. I think in terms of dreadful performances, that really feels like up there tonight. Like, it feels like the Watford game, the Liverpool game.
Without the score.
Yeah. Like, I'm just so upset with them, because sometimes you can have a bad game, your touch can be off and stuff, but you're still running, you're still doing like everything that you can, and none of them did it this evening. Like, I still think, even though Maguire stood out as someone who was like dominant, who was at least trying to do something, he's the main passer at the back of the team, and we couldn't get out. I think something's happened. I think that there's been an enormous fight, like, and if there isn't, I think that we should start one with them, because it's an absolute disgrace what we saw out there. I mean, like, there's not playing for your manager, there's throwing people under the team, but there's throwing the club, the fans, and your teammates, and that's criminal. I mean, Amondi, so I've spoken too much about how much.
No, just going back to your point. So we're talking about the Rashford and Martial. They apparently didn't play well today, didn't show that desire. But there's got to be consequences and repercussions for someone not putting performances like that. And do they really care? I mean, is that what's all going to... We're talking about on the show tonight. Do you think that's what the general theme will be from Man United fans? Rashford is letting us down and Martial is letting us down. And do they need to hear it? I mean, where's the responsibility for players now to not put an effort like that? You know, something needs to change drastically. And I think what we're seeing once again, I'm not going to get into this thing, is drastic, this is the worst performance. I'm looking at it saying, beforehand, I said, if we'd gone to Newcastle and only lost 1-0, I said, okay, I can go with that because of where we're at as a club right now. And what we're seeing with Sancho, I'm seeing Sancho. He's got his feet up. He's looking at Garms. He's looking good. He's looking cool because he's getting paid still. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of bad attitude that we need to win at the club. Whether it was Lingard with the attitude, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong with Lingard, but I always felt that he's not really showing that sort of same desire for the club. He's got his pay packet. He's living up the life. He's got girls. He can go out. He can, look good. He can model, do all that kind of stuff. And the same kind with Rashford. He's been put on a pedestal because of all the work he's done outside with the schools and that kind of thing. And he's kind of untouchable, it seems, right now, because to get away at Man United with performance like that, with lack of effort and desire, that's criminal for a club like ours. Like I said, he's not a luxury player. He cannot afford to get away with that. And he should feel ashamed from what he's hearing from social media. He must listen to that, and he must. If he's watching our show, I'd say to him, Rashford, fix up. Everyone would say the same thing. I can feel it in the comments. But I will say this: let's not sack the manager. If players aren't playing for him, or if the system's failing or whatever, we have to understand. We have to go through this to get better. We drop him now. We're gonna you win. The players win. These same players that we're cutting right now, they're the ones who win. And we need to stop that. We stick with Ten Hag and get these youngsters coming through. 2-3 years down the line, you'll see a better player come through with better attitude and more talent. And we have a more feel for these players because of the what we've had to go through to be on our face and turn it around, and we will appreciate it a lot more. So I'm saying this: stick with the manager. Do not come on this show and start talking about Ten Hag out and all this kind of thing. Let's have some vision here. Remember where we were, guys, when we got Ten Hag in. We were saying, let's be patient. Let's be patient. We're going to go through some bad times for sure, but let's be patient with him and let's see this through for the whole process, as they call it. And that takes 3-4 years time. And obviously, with the issues going on within the club right now, let that all settle down. Let's fix that problem as well, and hopefully we'll be able to get the signings that we want. Hopefully, we'll be able to get the facilities sorted out as well, the stadium, the youth set up as well. Start bringing some youth straight back in.
Cook the chicken.
Yeah, exactly. Develop these players properly. develop these players properly so that when they do come in, they know exactly what the criteria is. The criteria, as you know,
Monday
is a good attitude, determination, and giving it all. And if you're not going to do that, those three things, then you need to come out of the club.
Right, we did that though with Rashford and Martial 10 years ago, and look where it's got us. And also, I'd just like to say, if you want to write Ten Hag out in the comments, don't listen to OMONDI. You're allowed to write Ten Hag out. But would you like to see some comments, or do you have something to say, Mr. Comments?
No, let's go through the comments. There was one I was really curious about Martial, but when it comes up, we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Uncle Dubious is fuming the more he thinks about it. And Vincent is dreading the Chelsea game. Tyrone Williams, why did Ten Hag bring in Amrabat if he isn't going to start him? Interesting question. Everyone is deluded. They're going on about players, how they can't play properly. The coaches coach the players play in a certain way. Why are we not talking about them? Not Heath, but his calls are off. His calls are off. So he's disagreeing with you on Monday and saying that it might just be the manager. Uncle Dubious is also saying Bruno was not pathetic today at all. He created all our chances and played some sick through passes. The lads up top were not up for it. I disagree. Obviously Bruno did play the final ball a lot of the time, but his attitude was utterly ridiculous. The man's not a captain. He's too emotional. He can't calm things down. He can't get the team to sort of come together. I'm really disappointed with Bruno, and I like him as a player a lot, but I don't think a leadership role is for him. I think he needs to be led. Okay. King T'Challa, after 18 months, I don't think Heath realises the league he's in. This ain't Holland. We're not Ajax. This 3-6-1 is criminal. Mr. B, I don't think he wants wingers tracking back. Overload is his thing. Do any reply to that, Mr. B?
It could be right. I get that, but if you see a man running past you, because you expect the person behind you to do a job, you just let him do it. I get that. You could be right, and that's why when we moan about Rashford not tracking back, we were trying to say there's no way that's not an instruction. But at the same time, you are playing a game and you let somebody dribble past you because you want to do the overload. No, man. No, have some pride in your job and have some pride in the role that you're supposed to be doing on the pitch.
I agree. There's setting traps, and there's setting traps for yourself. And I wouldn't have thought that this is what he's doing. And here's late night Andrew Williams. You guys do my head in at times. Thanks, Andrew. We deserve better. This club always blames its coaches. You guys are 6 months behind the time. Okay. Uncle Dubious, then explain why 100% don't see it from Rashford, whichever wing he plays. Garnacho isn't great either. Anthony just has that fight. It's about all he has. And then Amrabat, Reguilon, Kobe, Shaw, Bruno Maguire, and Garnacho are going to have to pull us through. So these are the players that Uncle Dubious trusts to get us through. Amrabat. So 2 lone players, Kobe Manu, Luke Shaw, Bruno Maguire, and Garnacho.
Jesus Christ. Is that what we're going to rely on? I mean, I would have liked to have said, I would have liked him to put a striker in that, to be fair. But
Rasmus?
I think
He's
Rasmus.
bad, though.
Jesus.
I'm worried about him.
Do you know what it is? If we, in our team, we've never created for the striker, and we insist on playing with this lone striker. If we don't give the striker the football, there's absolutely nothing that he could do. Martial played today. Maybe I've just made that quote, and then I'm saying Martial, he did proper nothing today. Like he didn't care. So
do you not remember Firmino when they won the league, Liverpool? He scored something like 4 goals. He never got any chances. He was like their central player. Like the goals were coming from the wings, and that's with Anthony and Rashford. That's what you'd expect with the monies that have been spent on them with the contract and the fee, that they would be the goal scorers.
Yeah.
And the centre forward would be the one actually sort of holding the ball up, leading the press, making chances for them. Like, I don't know, maybe it's for later in the week, but I'm beginning to get worried about Rasmus.
Just to add to that as well, a couple of times I've seen him get in the box. There's been balls played to him. He's got there first because he seems to showtime, lights on. He got there first. It was gone under his foot or something. It was a simple slot. I think against Galatasaray there was one like that where he got there first, got there before the defender, but somehow he's missed the ball and he's not slotted it in. And I don't know whether that's a confidence thing, but as Gary Lineker used to say, Gary Lineker used to make these runs 10 times a game, and time and time again, and sometimes nothing will come off from it. But then you eventually get a goal. And I think as long as he continues like that, keep making these runs and not get disheartened, and keep an eye on the ball. And just all he needs is one in the Premiership, because I've heard he hasn't scored in the Prem just yet, and the pressure just builds, doesn't it? So if he continues to do this, get those runs going inside the box, beat your man, and bury one, even if it comes off your knee or your chest, whatever. Get one, and then we might see something different. I think it's a confidence thing with players like that, and I'm really encouraged to see him continue to make those good runs in the box to try to get that yard on a defender and slot it home.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'd like to see him stretch the pitch more vertically and remain central. But yeah, I mean, you talk about the pressure. He's a Manchester United player. He's got to be able to deal with it. Darius, Bruno wonders when playing deep. No shit, Sherlock. Thank you, Watson. Mr. B, I have been on the bus that the players use. The chairs, massage, heating pads, special pads for injuries, built-in bloody. It's even got a Michelin star chef on cooking them nice food.
There you go.
How's Vincent get on that bus?
Vincent, listen, Vincent's a little dog, Vincent's a little, yeah.
Vincent's a bit like Forrest Gump. Like, you know how in Forrest Gump, he's at every major sort of like historical event. I think Vincent's just a bit like that.
Anything that opens, Carrington's ladies change. Vincent was there. They're gonna redo Carrington. Watch Vincent
taking a selfie.
Was there. Taking a selfie with the massage bed.
I think once Vincent met Martial and told him he's got to run around more and score more goals, and Martial said they've got to pass me the ball more, and Vincent argued with him, which I rate a lot. Box, I think this is a good comment. Rashford looked genuinely tired when he was subbed. He literally spent all match walking.
Box, Newcastle have played 11 players for the last 3 games and made no subs. Don't chat to me about tired. Don't talk to me about tired. That can never be an excuse that's used. Every footballer knows talk about those players have run themselves into the ground for 3 games running. They're not complaining.
I think the point he's making is it's ridiculous that Rashford just walked all match and then looked exhausted when he came off.
Oh, sorry. Right. Okay, I got it now. Yeah, sorry. I went completely somewhere else. I get that. I get that.
All right, Tyrone. Garnacho looks like the kind of young player that would look at Rashford and tell him exactly what he thinks. Wouldn't surprise me if there's been a fight either. There has to be a fight. They've got to be going at each other on that coach on the way back, Michelin star chef or not. Like, there needs to be blood spill. So people on this channel advocating for a new contract for Martial this week. I think you've misunderstood what we said, Andrew. I said that I loved Martial, but I think his time is coming to the end, and I certainly wouldn't sanction a new contract. And Mr. B, I believe that you said something similar.
Yeah, I said I don't remember much that I talk about, but there's nowhere on God's earth, nobody on this channel was saying that Martial deserves a new contract. I'm quite positive of that.
Yeah. But we did like Martial last week. I'm not so sure this week. It's Lucky Singh. I told people fresh players start today. So Amrabat, Anthony, or Region. Have this on Monday. Sack the manager. Shit. And then I don't want Ten Hag sacked. But if we do not get top 4, the rotten owners will sack him. And then we deserve better. Low-hanging fruit, Rashford. He has done more than others up front in the Premier League this season.
Sorry?
I'd love to know what you're watching because it's not Manchester United.
Maybe he's playing Championship Manager.
Yeah. Is there anything else starred here?
Sorry.
Dubious is saying facts on the rotten owners here. And when Martial first signed under Louis van Gaal, he looked rapid and was one of the few shining lights. He's been a shadow of that player for a long time. I agree. I love Martial, but whatever. And then Andrew's saying we handed Rashford 400k per week based on 3 months. Ignored the other 3 years. Couldn't agree more, to be honest.
That's beginning to.
But hold on. I think most of the fan base would have last season said, yeah, Rashford must stay. He scored 30 goals. They were hoping that he would get those sort of numbers consistently now, you know, and I'm sure most people would have been endorsing a contract as well. So we can't sort of go back on ourselves. We have to sort of take responsibility for what we've been saying. I've said Wan-Bissaka needs to stay, and he got subbed today, didn't he, apparently, because Reguilon's come on and Dello, so he hasn't played well.
Wan-Bissaka was a disaster today.
Really? Okay.
Really poor. I mean, he did one bit that everyone will get excited about, where he blocked a shot from 5 yards out, but the ball came from his side. Like the ball was crossed in from our right hand side.
Yeah, for the goal. Yeah, that was
no, not that. That's just typical Aaron Wan-Bissaka daydreaming.
Yeah,
like Gordon.
Incredible. Do you know what? Sorry to cut. When Wan-Bissaka plays that side, do you know how much goals we concede? By that, the player going on the outside of him. I can think of 2 against Atletico Madrid, and they were headers by was the short guy who used to play up front for Chelsea on loan, Felix. Every those are the goals that he concedes. Facing up a player is no problem.
Yeah,
but it's like he has no. I don't know, no awareness of, especially this side of him. It's like he doesn't scan this way. He doesn't look behind him. You know, they were saying on the TV today that Gordon timed his run for when Wan-Bissaka turned his head to look at the ball. Don't give me shit. I don't think Wan-Bissaka did this and he was already gone. He wasn't aware that Gordon was around him 10, 15 yards in, you know, ahead of what he did. He reacted to Gordon being in. He's not going to catch Gordon. Gordon's rapid. He was already gone. We've got players who I don't think know their job more.
Can we just give some respect to Newcastle, though? Just say,
of course.
We will be fighting them. We fought them last year for top 4. We were 3rd and 4th. We ended up pipping them. We beat them in the League Cup final. And then, so we can, this is near enough the same Newcastle side. Obviously, you've got Tonali and a couple other players, you know. But the difference is, the real difference maker is here, from what appears to me, is the desire that they show to win games. When they PSG game to their home ground, they put it on them. They had that fire in them, desire, the running power. We're blaming Rashford for lack of desire. You know, we're looking at Martial, lack of desire. He had an argument with the manager, apparently, called the bath time. You know, lack of desire, not doing the work. No one has been accused of that at Newcastle. And this is the fundamental things that you need as a team. So, whereas how far off Newcastle are we? We lost 1-0 away from home. We defended pretty well because we only conceded 1 goal in a way.
Omondi.
Yeah.
And we scored at the end, but Mark Maguire was offside.
Omondi. Do you know what?
Sorry, one more point,
yeah.
Mr. B. And what I'm coming to is, like, I'm listening on the radio, obviously, when I'm driving out and I'm seeing things. But it was a case, again, where we were getting bombarded, yes. But there was always a case, we were one final pass away from setting Garnacho free or getting a transition going. And we could have easily scored a goal, you know. These are the small factors that I'm trying to be positive about. Newcastle fought for that win. They deserved it more because of the desire. The players we're criticising lack that desire today. That's the problem we need to fix.
It wasn't just desire on Monday. That was a big part of it. It was also the tactical setup and the physical capabilities of their players. Like McTominay was knocked from pillar to post by Joel Linton today. But he was the only one that was trying to sort of physically compete. Bruno bashed off the ball. Delot bashed off the ball. Aaron Wan-Bissaka outrun. We think players like Bruno and Ericsson and things are really good manipulators of the ball, and that we need more ballers in the club. We don't. We need less ballers and more players that are just okay, like receiving the ball and passing it, but work hard and can physically dominate who they're against. Like that's that. So when you say respect to Newcastle, respect, yeah, you know, kind of respect to Newcastle, except that fan took his top off. Disgusting. But I think that what we saw is the blueprint of what we need going forward, which is that we need powerful players, a compact team, and a venomous press. Because to be honest, as dreadful as we were, Newcastle actually weren't particularly great. Like we defended a lot of their attacks like okay without really doing anything. We just couldn't get out. And against a team that could get out, you can score goals against them. There was an opportunity to win the match there if we had more physical players and more determined players. But I think it's probably time to look at comments in it.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Can I just say, because you were talking about just, I don't know if it was your Monday just now, just about players getting tackled. Are players losing the ball and getting tackled? I don't know.
Was it Bruno?
1 minute ago. Yeah, about Bruno getting tackled on the ball and McTominay. Did Manu get tackled today? You don't have to be physical in a game. You just need to be smart.
Yeah, but they also just battered Manu all game. He had no impact on the game.
Yeah, but as you say battered, as in how? Because physically he wasn't battered as in hit battered.
No, he didn't.
He was always on the floor.
He didn't win a header. He got knocked off the ball a couple of times.
The team doesn't win headers. Bath time. The team actually doesn't win first header or second header. I don't understand. We don't win them. Whether the ball's going this way from our goalie or that way from their goalie, we don't win headers.
But look at it the other way, right? Do you agree we could not get out?
Yeah, I get
constantly pinned in. Manu is meant to be our ball. Manu and Maguire are the two that are meant to be, and Onana are the three that are meant to be getting us out, and we didn't get out. And a lot of that was down to those. Well, not completely down to those three, but those are the three with responsibility to get us out, and they couldn't get us out because of the ferociousness of the physicality that was on display. Manu might not have had the ball pinched off him. He might not have been sent into the stands or anything, but he wasn't able to exert any influence on the game because of the power.
Okay.
That's kind of my point. Okay. But comments, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Uncle Dubious. Yes, sir. I wanted Rashford to stay last month because he's failing, but at least trying. And I expected the rebuild around him to fix him up for the coming years. Oh, Uncle Dubious. Bath time. That's why me and my friends haven't been to Old Trafford. 7 years out. Joel Glazer out. A series of emojis. Wan-Bissaka was all at sea today, but he's not the only one. I agree with that. It doesn't help having Rashford in front of you as a fullback. But Wan-Bissaka looked like he was medicated the way he was playing today. He was so dopey. I was watching him. Like when I went to the Fulham game, him, Anthony, and McTominay were a triangle on the right, and they were actually doing pretty well, except for Wan-Bissaka, who just didn't seem to know where to put the ball or what he was doing. And then today, Wan-Bissaka and Rashford's positioning on defensive stuff was dreadful. It was absolutely dreadful. Like we talked on the channel last night about how a fullback can't go and engage until a man is covering the space and things like that. I mean, there was at one point a ball got played over the top and Wan-Bissaka was looking the wrong way and Rashford's 20 feet out of position. It's some of the worst defending I've seen in the Premier League this season. I don't understand. But Andrew is saying that most people like Coldplay. This is referring to your comments on Monday. Tyrone, Wan-Bissaka sometimes looks better with his last-minute tackles, but good fullbacks don't need last-minute tackles. They stay on their feet. And I think that's quite a good point, as when you look at England's best fullbacks, you don't really see them sliding a lot, do you? Did you see Trippier slide today? No. Bath time. You do not like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, full stop. Well, I'm glad you've caught on. We deserve better. And Box has always imagined Andrew as a Take That fan. I'm a Take That fan, and I spent a ridiculously long time trying to get Girls Isle tickets the other day. The only
You're not lying, hey?
No, absolutely not. Enough Girls Loud. The only player that seemed to want to fight and get something is the player that seems to mess up. Harry Maguire. It looked like my son's. He's saying it looked like it was being controlled on a FIFA game. Maguire was good defensively. To be honest, it's the fact we can't get up the pitch. Me. The only respect I will give Newcastle is they kept coming. Their quality was lacking today. The performance was lacking. All the more embarrassing for us. I agree with that. And then still can't believe we signed Mount 70 million for another British player who can't stay fit. We always tend to go for British rather than looking for cheaper options out in Europe. Baffling. And is there anything more here that's... Oh, I like this. No joke, Ollie was a good fit because the team is such a vibes team. They are not stoic, tactically quality footballers. This is why Ten Hag needs time if he wants to do this the footballing way. Amrabat and Mainu need a few games. I thought Amrabat was bloody useless when he came on.
Do you know what? You see, I get what you're saying there, Bath time, but Amrabat's natural position would be maybe as I look at it. Could those two play in a double pivot? That is the question that I'm going to pose. I think that would give us more balance straight away in the center of the park. Maybe that'll be wrong, and I do understand that they're both short. But football isn't always played in the air, and surely teams aren't just going to be whacking the ball into their midfield to head over. You lose the first ball. We lose the first header anyway. Yeah. So concentrate on winning the second ball. You understand? Maybe I'm just trying to think that.
Trying to think how to solve the problem.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out what we've got in our team that can solve the issues that we have, because we've got players who are technically quite good, and on their day could be great, but those days, for whatever reason, don't look like they're going to be coming. I think that the fact somebody put it in, they've signed Amrabat and he's not playing. What is it? Because he's now at the club and you realise he's not the player that you broke your neck to get, that we sold all of those youth players for 750 grand for, so we can get his wages. You understand? Alanga works for the team. Alanga lacks the technical maybe part of it, but what he does is he works to instruction. Yeah, I think if Ten Hag has 11 players who work to the instruction that he is giving them, we will be better. We've got a lot of players who are out there and maybe feel that Ten Hag's play maybe not the guy who they want to support, and it starts with little things, and then we've always had big cracks. You know how the club is. We know the club's in a mess, but these little things always start small and then it goes into something else. I mean, now maybe it's a good thing that what's his name, Ratcliffe, is coming in and taking over the football side of it, because Ten Hag maybe he's not going to have. I'm not going to say he's not. Yeah. That's.
He's just going to be a coach.
He's just going to be a coach that has come into the team. There's a system around him. He's not going to be this big I am, because he wasn't used to being the big I am at Ajax. Yeah, you know what I mean? He was used to working in a structure with
and Van der Sar.
Right, and then he's come to Man United, this big behemoth of a club, and he has to deal with signing players, getting people to scout. So maybe him having just his specific role will benefit him. I'm just not. Question: do you think that there's a chance that they could sack him?
Yes, I think he's already sacked in their heads. But first of all, I want to talk about double pivot. and then I want to talk about that, because I think there's a misconception as to what a double pivot is. A double pivot is something you have in possession that allows you to get out on both sides of the pitch. It's not the same as having three men in the middle of the pitch. The problem for United is that a single pivot in a build-up is fine, right? As long as everyone's technically secure and everyone works hard and moves into the right areas, you don't necessarily need a defensive, you don't need a double pivot. What we need is our resting defence to have more people in the centre. That's the real issue. So we need to find a player that is good at defending transitions, that can sit next to Kobe and protect the centre of the pitch when we lose the ball. Like the double pivot is just about getting down the left or the right in possession. And I think that we're okay with that, because all of you seem to hate sideways passing, but that's pretty much what you do with a double pivot, because it pins their midfield and allows more space out on the wings. And I don't think that's our problem. So I'm not saying that we need a double pivot. I'm saying that when we're attacking, we need 5 players attacking and we need 5 defending.
Because he goes with 6
defending.
Right.
Yeah.
So with that, do you think the players that he was looking for, as in Frimpong, I'm just trying to think of the players that he was looking on the side.
Frimpong and Dumfries would basically function as wingers. They both play wide.
Right.
They're not inverted.
So they wouldn't be inverted. So
no.
What sort of right back or left? We say right back because I don't think it's going to be a left back, because he likes Shaw. What sort of right back would we be looking that would be able to play as the inverted then?
Timber, for example, went to Arsenal, and he's someone who could play that role when he's not been fit. But you're likely to see him when he does come back into the team, like we've seen with the Japanese guy who plays Tomiyasu.
Yeah.
They tend to play, they're right-footed, they can play right back and play in that position in midfield at certain times during certain phases of play. I think Timber was someone who could do that job as well. We see that at Arsenal. The same when you look at Man City as well. They got the new Croatian guy. He played left back, but
Guardiola.
Yeah, Guardiola, or his name is, and he got the guy, the Swiss guy. He drops him into midfield a couple of times. You know? From Man City, the Swiss guy.
Yeah, is he not called? That's the Norwegian. Like they got Rico Lewis, who does it really well.
Oh yeah,
as well.
Rico Lewis is like he's new. He's like a new addition. Someone like that. Not to say new edition, a new age kind of player. He's adapted to that. He's
Amondo. I've always had a theory about Lisandro Martinez. I think that he costs too much money and all this sort of stuff, but they had to be aware that he's really small, and there had to be a backup for if he couldn't play central defence because of that lack of height. I think that Martinez might be our only hope of inverting, where he basically plays as left back and Shaw at centre back.
Danny Blind,
and then Martinez comes in. But the problem that we have at the moment is that McTominay and Bruno are what you call free eights, and none of them are. They're not like doing the defensive. They're not doing the defensive work. Like even when Mount played, none of those eights like coming back in to sit.
You think that's an instruction?
Yes.
Right. Do you think? Right. Bath time. So you're saying that that's an instruction because the players who actually play in that role never do it. Yeah. They never do it. Ten Hag's instructions then are wrong. Is this the conclusion that maybe we've come to now in this after this game?
Yeah. Well, earlier on, someone said about like we play this 3-1-6 or something because Ten Hag, or like people don't jog back because they're obsessed with overloads. Like I think like whatever you think of McTominay, I think he does exactly what you tell him to do. If you tell him to run into a wall, he runs into a wall. Like we've seen him, like Eriksen got injured in a game earlier this season. We saw him go to 6 and he played it tactically very disciplined. Like you can argue, cry about the quality and stuff. But the reason that they all love McTominay is he does exactly what he tells them to do, does exactly what he wants. And I think that what Ten Hag is doing is that he believes that other teams are scared of United. So if we keep getting more people forward, they're going to drop back. But what's actually happening is that teams are just protecting the centre of the pitch because we don't have quality in Anthony out wide. Garnacho is a bit of a sort of skittish player. We don't see him making a lot of goals. So I don't think teams are actually that scared about our overloads out wide. And that when that happens, they have their resting attack, which is two players in between the midfield lines, ready to go. And like Wolves did it to us, Forest did it to us, like even Luton tried to do it to us. Like every team knows that if you can defend Anthony, Rashford, and Garnacho, you're going to get chances against us because we've got too many men committed forward. And so when people talk about the double pivot,
many men
wish death upon me. I'm glad you've chimed in with that comment.
on the rap thing, like, you know.
Yeah. But the thing is that I agree with everyone here who says that they will, double pivot's the wrong name for it, but there has to be a 5-man resting defence, and whether that's a 3 and a 2 or a 2 and a 3 is up to you.
To help with transitions.
Well, yeah, but
it's more just I was more thinking it was to stop them coming the other way.
Yeah, we're not protected enough. Like Monday, you remember how I've gone on for 2 years with Ten Hag is that he doesn't respect the middle of the Premiership midfield where there's not enough men, and everything he does is premedicated, whatever the word is, on the basis that the players don't lose the ball. And he's putting too much pressure on Casemiro, Kobe, Eriksen, McTominay, anyone that everyone loves. Everyone loves 50 Cent. Like he's class. Big fan of 50 Cent, and I'm also disappointed that he's had a fight with Ja Rule because I quite like Ja Rule as well. The great song with Jennifer Lopez years ago, but Murder Inc. innit? But anyway, he like Ten Hag's system is fantastic on paper, but it doesn't. We're not playing football on paper, and it's just. I'm just so disappointed. But to get back to your original question, I think that the Ineos boys will have seen what's going on with Varane and Sancho, what's going out on the pitch, the money that they've brought in, the fact that it looks like they've been preparing this takeover for a year. I think that they will have already interviewed candidates to take over from Ten Hag. And I'm hoping that they're also trying to find buyers for a couple of the players as well, because I don't think it's just Ten Hag that's going. I think that they're looking at players on big contracts. Like Varane is transfer listed apparently. That will have come from them.
20 mil.
Yeah, that'll come from them. That won't come from the Glazers.
And not from Ten Hag saying that he doesn't want him in the squad.
Well, they'll have approved it and stuff like that, and they haven't approved a sort of a Sancho transfer apparently. I think that they see the manager and some players as crucial to moving on if they want us to get us back to where we should be.
I
Even the dogs disagree with you.
Yeah, I don't see it like that at all.
All right, I'll do the comments while we wait for a Monday. All right, we'll start up here. I hope Ratcliffe coming in will mean having a director of football, a proper one, who can identify the right players to bring in. Paul Mitchell could be the right man, but there are other candidates, and we deserve better. I think youth players were sold as Hag likes a small squad, and then the fool has to get useless loans because he doesn't have enough cover. No, Ratcliffe will be here to make money like the Glazers do. Money man. I don't know about that. We need to make it harder for the opposition. Well, we can't make it any easier, can we, boys? Jeremy Frimpong of Leverkusen. Serious question for the three of you. If solely up to you, would Donny van der Beek find a way into this squad or side for you? It hurts my heart the way we've treated him. A player passes moves intelligent. I think, is that a resounding no from everyone.
100% now.
Yeah, I'll just because it's a serious question, King T'Challa, Your Majesty, I will give you the reason why, which is that Donny van der Beek is a channel runner, but he doesn't have the running power to like do anything. He actually clogs up space. I don't think that he's got the strength to hit the 30 or 40-yard balls. I don't think he's very good at very much. And since he came to us, no one's wanted him. Like I think Rennes in France are the only team that's tried to get him after Everton. I think he's just got to give up on him, to be honest.
Yeah, I would say as well, King Charlotte, we don't do that around here.
There we go. Monday's seen a film. Zinchenko also talking about players that can invert. Bath time. Is it just me, or does it appear that Ten Hag is awful at adjusting mid-game, or is that just me? I would... yes. Last season, he had a standard thing he did, which is he put Bruno on the right wing to compress, to get more men in the middle of the pitch. But I just think he doesn't trust... It just doesn't seem to trust anyone to bring him on. And, you know, he trains them all week. He was talking today about how they stuck to the game plan and stuff. He's just out of his depth, isn't he? Like, at the moment, he doesn't seem to be able to give any answers on or off the pitch. Andrew Williams saying it's just about quality. It's not a special type of new age player, referring to inverted fullbacks, which is an invention from the 1950s and Wolverhampton Wanderers, I believe. Shaw is a beast. You don't realise how big he is until you watch him live. He can play the centre-back role quite well. I've seen this. Premedicated. I'm trying to remember. I've remembered the word. No, I haven't. It's something like...
Premeditated.
No. Predicated is the word. Predicated.
Never heard it.
It means that it means you need some... Predicated means that something has to happen for something else to happen. Rashford, right? Clear the lot out. And Andrew says Rashford, Martial, Varane, Casemiro.
I think let's talk about the highest earners there. I think that one was the big earners.
Yeah. Oh God. USA Network showed Rashford laughing and joking in the stands. And then Andrew's helping me out with predicated here. Yeah, I'm not very good with words. Like they get stuck on my tongue sometimes. All right, boys, probably time for closing statements and a bit of a cry.
Okay, I'll go first. We could have lost that game 5-0 and it wouldn't have been a surprise. The only surprise is that they only scored one. There's not one positive at all to come out of today's game. I'll be interested to hear. We're gonna get battered anyway. It's actually got to the stage where I don't listen to TalkSport anymore, and TalkSport was my go-to station for years. I understand the United bashing, I get it, but I don't really want to hear it. So I'm probably gonna be in a cave until Tuesday night. To be fair, I don't think we're gonna get out of it with the players that we have. The fact that we consistently are not beating anybody in the top 5, home or away, I think it's going to be a problem moving forward. And unless something drastic is done in the summer transfer window, when I say drastic, it may well be decisions that I don't like, OMONDI doesn't like, Bath Time don't like, or you guys in the chat don't like. But I think something needs to be done. And if Ten Hag isn't going to be the one, I mean, I want him to succeed, but I'm also not ignorant enough to see that he's making fundamental errors in how he's setting the team up. And if he continues doing that way with the players, he's going to be gone. So I'm not sure.
I think for me, I think that this club is riddled with the disease of managers from a long time ago, like all the way back to Moyes, with the players that are here. I think that when Ollie came in, we tried to do a cultural reset. where he discussed how important it was to play for United. There's a famous picture of him explaining to Rashford what it was like to score in the European Cup final. Everything felt good back in the initial Ollie rush. Now, I think everything has to be restructured, and it's going to take some time for us to get back. But I believe we can get back. But I also think that Ineos, who are serious operators, will have identified that with the poor recruitment comes poor players that don't fit the profile. And if they are going to change the recruitment, it makes tremendous sense to change the manager as well. And I feel a bit sorry for Ten Hag because he had the job of the lifetime, but he doesn't have the personality to handle the club. And I think the lack of effort and the complete disjointed performance that you saw on the pitch, quite a lot of it is down to Ten Hag's lack of man management, because this season the motivation has come from a Netflix documentary and a fucking bedsheet.
One day.
I'm sorry, I'm late, but I have to disagree with some of those points you both said. I think I remember when Fergie came in, this after Ron Atkinson, we hadn't won a league for so long, and he had a good start, cleared out a few players, and then the second season he had a bad season. I think we didn't win for 14 games or something like that, which is terrible. But I think you need to go through that kind of thing. We're going through that right now. We're going through a phase where we're not expected to be pulling up trees or winning titles or anything like that. It's a transitional period. And we have to, if we really want to follow this through, you only have to look at history to see how it's done correctly. We were talking about Spurs a few weeks ago. Oh, how come this guy Aainst can come in and turn it around straight away? He hasn't turned it around. They've hit the wall. They've got a few problems, whether it's injuries or whatever, or the high line they played. Look how suicidal that was, So it's not something you can do overnight, especially at a club like Man United. I suggest we still remain patient. I suggest we just understand there are teams out there that are better than us at the moment. The Newcastles, Chelsea's, Liverpool's, Man City's, Arsenal's at the moment. These teams are on board, but they've had to take a few steps back to take a few steps forward. And if you're not prepared to get with the program and stick around and sort of, ride this out, then we're just wasting our time. We need to be proper fans, intelligent fans, to understand that it's going to take time. And if you can make rash decisions, I'm saying rash, but rash decisions about the manager especially, then that's not the way to go forward. We saw today, this is why they're live on TV in front of millions. It's not like we heard on the radio like in the 80s when you would listen to games, and maybe once a year you see an FA Cup final, we get to see game in, game out. And so that's why we should identify the players who are not putting the work in. And that's exactly what happened tonight. Certain players have not put the work in. We've seen it over week after week. We get to watch every single game, guys. We're blessed. We're lucky, to watch every single game. So surely we have platforms like this where you guys can have your voice and you can say, do a player rate and say, this player is not working hard enough. So why is that on the manager? And why do you expect the manager to turn this player around when he's got money? He's not going to listen to someone telling him what to do. He's not a boy. You can't talk to him like that. So what he's done, the manager, you talk about poor man management. One of you said about poor man management earlier. It's not poor man management when you're getting rid of players that are bad for the club. Sancho, Ronaldo, Rashford's already been penalised for turning up late, and he might be penalised again. I'm with you, Bart. I think there's something has happened behind the scenes because something's not right at the club, And but you need to filter this out. You need to have bump heads to highlight what the problem is. So I'm sticking with Man United. I still love the club. I think we're on the right track, and I'm very positive about how this goes. We might not win anything this season. We might not qualify for Champions League, but we have to stick with the manager.
Okay, well, look, as I said, this is going to be the beauty of it. This is going to be the beauty of it for the rest of the season. I can see a slight divide in who the channels are beginning to support, but it's good. There's going to be a story to be told this season, and guys, we all want you to be a part of it. Just before we go, we haven't seen you. Agile Beast 21. Rashford needs to be dropped. We play better without him, and his attitude stinks, along with his diabolical work ethic. I read that out because we hadn't seen your name in the comments, and we haven't been here for 1 hour 20. So big up. We always do try and remember who the new ones were, but it's a late one. It's very, very late. We thought we were going to be a lot more sweary than we were. So respect bath time. On Monday, I know you don't cuss, so I can only give you respect for not cussing anyway. Me, I did think I kept it to a minimum. Although YouTube,
I got one in.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad you got one in. I was expecting a lot more, to be fair. Look, guys, we will be back on Monday. I think we need like a 24-hour break. We will be back on Monday to discuss all things Man United. And yeah, we may well be discussing the Chelsea game on Monday and what we can hope for.
Game?
Wednesday.
So it's on Amazon Prime this week, isn't it? The game.
Oh, is that what's on? Oh, it's okay. I mean, look, either way, it doesn't matter. I mean, I've actually got Amazon Prime, so I won't be. Yeah, we're at home. Okay. So yeah, look, we'll be back on Wednesday. Choose Monday. Monday, I think. Yeah, we'll be back on Monday, and look, we've got things to discuss. But on Monday, it's been a late one. Thank you very much for turning up. Bath time.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah, definitely, guys.
Nick, by the way, haven't seen her for a long time, but big up.
Hey! Long time no see, Super Nick, guys. Goodbye. We are out.